Hi, fellow traders. I hope everybody had a great day today. No excuses, just adjustments. That's the mentality that we have to have in this business. Everybody has excuses. We can all come up with an excuse as to why this isn't going that way, this isn't doing the right thing. But it's not about that. It's about making the adjustments. Excuses don't put money in my pocket. Excuses don't put food on my table. Excuses don't put gas in my gas tank. So there's no place for excuses. It's all about making the adjustments and moving forward. And that's what we're gonna do. Obviously, the summertime lull is hit a couple weeks sooner than it normally hits. So I'm gonna have to make an adjustment. I don't change my strategies. I don't change anything. I just adjust how I work with the market, because the market timing changes and the volatility changes a little bit. And if you've seen the last couple of weeks, after about 10:30 or 11, the volume in the market is gone. And there's a lot of movement sideways. Now, you always get some breaking news or something coming out and spiking the stock or dumping the stock here and there, but you can't trade that unless you know ahead of time it's going to happen and you just happen to be in it. You can't really trade those things. So we have to look for those moves in the morning. And lately, a lot of the moves have been to the long side. Last week it was a week for bulls, and I wasn't bullish, so I had an average week. This week started out the same way, and just running into brick walls. So I decided yesterday, when we really didn't have any trades yesterday, I tried one trade that just did not move anywhere. We ended up making like $18 on it. It just didn't go anywhere. It didn't go up or down. It just traded sideways and never did move. But I decided yesterday, I need to start adjusting for the summer months. And some of the things that I bring into play, I trade pre-market because I am here. Now I have to leave as soon as I bring up the chat room at like 6:45 or so. I have to leave and take my son to school. I don't get back to like 8:15, and it's too late to try to trade pre-market then. But when I'm home during the summer, I can work these stocks and I can trade pre-market. Same thing with the earnings after market. I can trade those because I don't have to leave at 2:30, and I can be back in time to work those things out. So I'm in the process of making those adjustments and going to the long side more. And it's funny, this morning I was all ready to go long. I was excited to see all of those green trades, the green on my scanner this morning, but just didn't work out that way at first anyway. But I am ready to make the adjustments. We're ready to rock and roll. We're not going to go backwards. We're going to keep going forwards. And that's what it's all about. And there are going to be days where you don't need to take a trade. You just don't need to trade. And if you can't get that in your head, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. There are days where you just do not need to trade. And you just have to let it go. And because there are always going to be other days that you can get in and make money. And if you decide to trade, keep it tight. You don't want to bleed out all of your money while you're waiting on the market to come back to you. So let's take a look at what we did today. Now on M, and I was ready to go long on this. You know, we had the big pullback, and you know, I was ready for it to bounce and get back over VWAP. I was ready to take it long, but it didn't set up that way, and it started selling off. We got under the VWAP, under the 9, under the 20, and so I'm like, you know, once it set up under the opening range low, I went ahead and took it. Now, the mistake I made here was I got in before this candle closed. Had this candle printed, I never would have gotten in. But I might not have gotten in here because the 50 had gotten too close. And I probably wouldn't have gotten in this trade had I been a little bit more conservative on entering. And that's what happens a lot in the summertime, is we really don't get any follow through. We'll get a setup, but it won't follow through and trigger an entry, and it just kind of does what it's going to do. Now, I wasn't going to trade this within this opening range, because if it was going to be range bound, it was just going to bounce around in here all day. So I waited till we pulled through the opening range. It pulled back and it held. So I just, you know, I got in. I was at lunch, so I saw it. And this is what I was saying, you know, we were looking for before I left. And I got in, and I was getting ready to put my target in. And, you know, not used to being long, when I typed it in, and I typed in buy, thinking that I was going to cover. So I ended up adding another 150 shares to this. I was in 300 shares. I accidentally, which is all these fills here, is like 95, 105, 2 shares. I don't even know how it feels like that. But that was the first 300 share order. And then 2 minutes later, when I was trying to put my target in, I added 150 to it. So I was a little bit heavier than I wanted to be. And, you know, once it got to up to 32.93, I got 10 cents on it. My average at that time was like 32.74 or 73 or whatever. So once I got a little bit on, I went ahead and took it off. I didn't want to hold that like this. Number one, I was at lunch. I was, you know, on my small laptop, and, you know, I was trying to record the, you know, screen on my laptop and all of that. It was crazy, but ended up taking 100 shares off at the target that I wanted to take my first cover, which is 33.25. And then when we were pulling back, I went ahead and took the rest of it off, because it just seemed like we were, you know, selling off. And so the fear of missing out crept in, and I'm like, you know, this is going to bounce. This isn't going to go lower. So I'm going to get in here so I won't miss it, you know, on the ride back home. So I got in, and damn if it didn't hit my stop before. You know, I should have been in holding this the whole time. But, you know, and it didn't go anywhere. This is kind of what the stock did yesterday. Just didn't go anywhere once we got in. But, you know, this is just a product of the market. You know, this is how it is all summer with these stocks. Is after, you know, after the morning volatility, you just don't see much. You don't really see much. So here I got in some to hold for the late day fade, and all we get, this was disappointing. Just one candle down, and then when we started to recover, I just took it off. for a couple of dollars. But it was just a crazy, crazy trade, crazy day on this. I know it says 23 trades, but that's because this thing got broken up like this. It just kind of broke up the tickets. Like this is one ticket here. They broke it up into 3 trades. All of this is one ticket. They broke it up into 3. But you only get charged for the order, so it doesn't matter how they break it up as long as it gets filled. But I did overtrade this, but I was trying to record some stuff for the new classes coming up. We're going to have some new live recordings. Now, the way I look at it is this. When I was teaching, every year I would teach the same curriculum. But what made me better as a teacher is that every year I kind of had a different way of teaching it. I learned from the previous year, came back, took some feedback from my students, and tried to make the class better for the next group. And that's what I'm doing with these classes now. I'm trying to record some live trades and, add those in so that as we're discussing it, we can see it actually happen. It's just like a flag. Anybody can recognize a flag on a dead chart, after the fact. We could all, if we could trade after the fact, we'd all be rich. But the key is understanding and being able to identify as it's happening, as it's forming. Because if we wait until it's formed, it's normally too late. So, it's all about being able to show exactly what's happening. Now, you guys see the live stuff every day, but having it as part of the class is going to be, even better. So I wanted to share that with you. But both classes are going to start new next week, starting next Tuesday. All right, so BOOT, everybody was trying to mess with this. This was on our watch too, but it just wasn't, the price action I just didn't like it. Here was an opening candle right here, and then we had this big sell-off under the opening range. Yeah, this would have been a good entry. I just didn't want it. And we popped up and we rejected. So as we were rejecting, we made a lower low. So I felt good getting in all up under this, under the 50, under the opening range low. So I get in and we make this nice move down. And here we had a huge quick sell-off, and then it got quickly bought right back up. Normally that means trouble. So I just dumped it and, let it go. And you can see we ran all the way back up. We did pull back, but it didn't really do much. And this is when I got the idea to record. Why I recorded the other trade. I wish I had recorded this one, because this is price action that whenever you guys see that kind of thing, smart move is to just dump it and sit back and wait, see if it comes back to you. But not really much on here. Just we gave it a shot. It didn't even get to the 100 days, 100 period. So that was done. But I did get this recorded to go with the earnings plays that I like to do. I am bringing that into the day trading class, and there's some homework behind this. This isn't just pick it and do it. There's some homework behind this that you're going to learn about, things that I have to look at before I choose to watch a stock all day and trade for earnings. But it's kind of risky. Well, it's really risky because you're anticipating what's going to happen. You know, you read enough, you get enough intel that you know this stock's probably going to tank when earnings are announced. Now, a lot of times they will pop up for a quick couple of seconds and then sell back off. But, you know, this one pretty much behaved according to plan. So, but you have to be in this when the market closes. You can't wait for earnings to announce and then get in, or wait till the market closes, because a lot of times the spread gets ridiculous. Because on this first move down, the spread, the ask was still up at 45. You know, the bid side was down here, but the ask stayed up. Even as we were dropping down here, we were at like 44.25 on the bid, 45 on the ask. So there's no way you could have gotten in this unless you got in before the market closes. And if you were around in the first quarter toward the end of the second quarter, you know, we were doing a lot of these aftermarket. You got to see them, you know, if you hung around in chat late. But I'm trying to get some of these on tape, on film, or recorded. So in the class, we've got some live ones to do. Same thing with the pre-market trades. You know, we'll have them recorded so you guys can actually, we can dissect it, stop it, slow it down, speed it up, and do whatever we need to do. But the key on this was just hit your targets. You know, 44 was my first target. 43.25 was my second, but I kind of missed it. I got 43.33. And then 42.50 was going to be my final target. But here was the support that it had to get through. But it never did really test it. So ended up taking it off when we started to recover here a little bit. But these are risky, but they're not as risky as you would think. You know, if you do your homework and you manage yourself correctly. Now, obviously, I wasn't going to get in this thing with 200 or 300 shares. You know, that would be a lot too risky for me. But 100 shares, you know, was great. It was perfect. We were able to manage it, and you know, got some good recordings for the class. So that was my day. Not a whole lot to write home about, but I will be looking at more trades to the long side. You know, we're shifting from that, you know, bear mindset, 80%, 90% bear mindset, to more 65-35, maybe 60-40, and gonna look to take some more long trades. I trade more to the long side in the summer months than I do anytime else. So that's one of the adjustments that you're gonna see made. And I feel it's important that you guys are there and you see it, because I'm telling you, you're gonna have to stick it out. You know, if you keep moving from place to place, strategy to strategy, you're never gonna gain consistency. You're just gonna keep bleeding off money, and then you'll turn into one of those guys that don't believe you can make money doing this. And, you know, that's really sad. But, you know, I was going down that same road myself until I realized I just had to pick a spot. I had to pick a spot and work it out. You know, don't make excuses for myself. Make the adjustments and do what needs to be done. And that's what I did. That's why I am where I am right now. So you guys have a great night, a great evening, and we'll get back at this thing tomorrow. See if we can finish the week strong. We got Thursday and Friday to turn things into positive. So we're gonna be looking to do that. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.